How the Reynoldsburg School District Got Its Shape, Part 7, 1968 through 1973, The Master Plan. As a reminder, here's what the boundaries of the Reynoldsburg City School District looked like in August 2025. Where we left off in Part 6, the land lying south, where we left off in Part 6, the land lying on the path of the future Interstate 70 was about to become particularly valuable property, at least the land that wasn't appropriated for the highway itself. The Reynoldsburg City Council and School Board worked together to get as much of that land as possible locked into the city and school district jurisdictions. If these parcels could become commercial or industrial areas, they would bring in tax money to help provide services, including schools, to the rapidly growing residential areas. The trouble was that the same was true for Columbus as well. 1968 to 1970. Doherty plays hardball. In May of 1968, the Reynoldsburg City Council took delivery of a study it had commissioned, a 30-year development plan that included annexing almost 1,800 acres to its south, north, and west. Quite a lot of work had gone into this plan. There had even been rumblings about it as early as 1966. So, it was rather unsporting of the city of Columbus to announce in October 1968 their own plans to annex 90 of those acres at the intersection of I-70 and Bryce Road. It was part of an 800-acre annexation stretching to the southern border of Truro Township. Almost 300 of those acres were part of the Reynoldsburg City School District. The remainder lay in Madison Local School District territory. The respective superintendents of the two districts weren't thrilled with the proposal either. Undeveloped but potentially valuable real estate kept getting removed from suburban districts like theirs, and when the property values later increased, the tax money from them went to Columbus schools. Madison Local Schools Superintendent Philip Williams put it succinctly: a school district needs two things to operate: land for taxation purposes and pupils. Without both, a district cannot be sustained. But the Franklin County Commissioners approved the annexation anyway. The map below shows the resulting boundaries of the Columbus and Reynoldsburg school districts. Or rather, it shows what those boundaries would have been had the Reynoldsburg City Council not found some leverage to claw some of that acreage back. In the map to the right, notice that the area that the city of Reynoldsburg had wanted to annex lay on both sides of I-70. There's 70. There's what Reynoldsburg planned to annex. This meant that until more roads were built, the area on the north side would be a landlocked piece of the city of Columbus, boxed in by the freeway on the south, Bryce Road on the west, and the city of Reynoldsburg on the north and east. So, it was definitely a shame in 1969 when a previously platted access road connecting it to Livingston Avenue was quietly dropped from a zoning plan. This was going to be a problem for Country Club Estates, the developer who owned the land. This complaint didn't cut any ice with council president and future mayor Richard Doherty, who had little sympathy for Country Club Estates because the owners allowed their land to be annexed to Columbus earlier this year and made no effort to join Reynoldsburg. A right-of-way might be crucial for Country Club Estates, Doherty observed, but the land was in Columbus, and it wasn't contributing anything to Reynoldsburg. Now, if the Columbus City Council wanted to unannex that land and transfer it back to Reynoldsburg, well, that would be a different matter. This suggestion did not go over well with Columbus Mayor Jack Sensenbrenner, who commented, "I've never heard of such a thing. I'm not giving it up." All the same, in 1970, those two parcels hugging the curve of the off ramp from I-70 westbound to northbound Bryce Road, became part of the city of Reynoldsburg once again and remained part of the Reynoldsburg School District. In the map below, they are now colored magenta and have a shape somewhat like a rubber duck. With the freeway built, some of the land that had been acquired for that project could now be released for other uses. One of those pieces of land is a zigzag 88-acre parcel shaped like an extended Tetris S block lying just to the east of the Bryce and I-70 rubber ducky. The city of Reynoldsburg annexed this tract in 1971 as part of Priority 1 of the master plan. And the Reynoldsburg City School District had some special plans for the western half of this newly available parcel. 1970 to 1973, Baldwin Road and Blacklick Woods. The Reynoldsburg School District by this time had 4 elementary schools: French Run, Herbert Mills, Graham Road, Rose Hill, a high school on Livingston Avenue, and the original Union Academy building, now serving as a junior high. The population had grown enough that the high school was running triple sessions. The district needed another junior high to relieve that pressure. In 1971, the school board bought the Baldwin Road site for $100,000. In July 1972, they approved plans to build the new junior high. But thanks to bad weather, a concrete workers' strike, materials shortages, and the headaches of arranging for easements and access roads, it wouldn't be until 1974 that Reynoldsburg Junior High, aka Baldwin Road Junior High, opened its doors. The annexation of the Baldwin Road Tetris block also included a 22-acre rectangle nestled in the pocket formed by the crook of the Tetris piece, the Franklin-Fairfield County line, and I-70. It was another landlocked tract created by the freeway. So here's the Tetris block, here is the freeway, here is the county line, and here is the landlocked tract. Those 22 acres had been part of 100 acres that were transferred to the Violet Township School District in 1929. 4 decades later, they were cut off from the rest of their school district, and when the area was annexed to Reynoldsburg in 1971, it was a natural choice to put them back into the Reynoldsburg School District like so. Meanwhile, south of the county line, Reynoldsburg's master plan was ruffling some feathers in Violet Township. The township trustees had been keeping a wary eye on the city of Reynoldsburg ever since 1966, when rumors about the plan had started making it into the press. Now, they had noticed with alarm that annexing almost 1,300 acres of their township was priority 1 in the city of Reynoldsburg's official published plan. They vowed to fight. And fight they did. For example, consider Blacklick Woods Metro Park. Notice that the eastern half of the Baldwin Road Tetris block and the landlocked area transferred from the Pickerington School District make up about 50 acres of Blacklick Woods. There we are. The very same 1971 annexation originally included another 200 acres. The very same 1971 annexation originally included another 200 acres of Blacklick Woods, bounded by Livingston Avenue on the north, Blacklick Creek on the east, and the Franklin-Fairfield County line on the south. Separating these two tracts is the northwest corner of Fairfield County, where the remainder of Blacklick Woods is located. In fact, The original annexation petition called for annexing those areas as well, but there was enough resistance among the Violet Township trustees and the Fairfield County Commissioners that this area was dropped from the ordinance that Reynoldsburg City Council ultimately approved. So, if we zoom out, here is the 1971 annexation. And here is the rest of Blacklick Woods Metro Park, and here is the other annexation. Originally included this and this and this, but this part was then carved out. 1973 to 1974, Tusing Road. So that's what was going on north of the freeway. What about to the south? Dougherty's victory in 1969 had recovered almost 30 acres out of Columbus's proposed 800-acre annexation, but the remaining 770 acres did indeed get annexed to the city of Columbus and transferred to Columbus City Schools. Of those 770 acres, 235 were Reynoldsburg School District territory, mostly on the south side of Interstate 70. So, the peninsula at the southwest corner of the school district, which had once reached all the way to Big Walnut Creek, had now been whittled down to a square of about 70 acres on Tusing Road. Separated by the freeway from the rest of the Reynoldsburg School District, this area was ripe for annexation. In 1973, the city of Columbus did just that. Now, in 1971, when a chunk of the Pickerington School District had found itself cut off from the rest of its district by a freeway and then annexed by the city of Reynoldsburg, that land was straightforwardly transferred into the Reynoldsburg School District. But this time, when a chunk of the Reynoldsburg School District found itself cut off from the rest of its district by a freeway and then annexed by the city of Columbus, that land did not get transferred to Columbus City Schools. There were probably two reasons for this. First, no students lived there, so having it in the district would not create transportation headaches. Second, this tract is definitely an example of land for taxation purposes rather than land with students. It's a light industrial area with buildings that look like this one here, 6606 Tusing Road. Image from the Franklin County Auditor. So there was good reason for the Reynoldsburg School District to want to hang on to this area. By contrast, the area of the Pickerington School District had less of a need to keep the area that got stranded on the north side of the freeway. It's part of the tax-exempt Blacklick Woods Metro Park. 1968 to 1970, Deerfield Estates. While the construction of Interstate 70 was reshaping the south side of the Reynoldsburg School District, changes were in the works on the north side. We'll start with one change that didn't happen. While Reynoldsburg's Richard Dougherty and Columbus's Mayor Sensenbrenner were having it out in 1968, some residents of Jefferson Township were trying to get their neighborhood transferred into the Reynoldsburg School District. They lived in Deerfield Estates, the most scenic subdivision in central Ohio, according to newspaper ads at the time, which had opened for residential builders in 1960. But before even a single sensibly restricted home was built in this beautiful rolling wooded area, the entire subdivision had been part of the Licking County School District for 40 years. That's right. It was the Frederick Graham tract, the one that flipped from Jefferson Township schools to Licking County schools in 1928. It was still there now, only the Licking County School District had a new name, Licking Heights Local Schools. The developers apparently figured the new residents might want to send their kids to Reynoldsburg schools, but they took care not to state that this neighborhood was actually in the Reynoldsburg School District. Newspaper ads from 1960 and 1961 mention only that it's near public and parochial schools. In 1968, There were enough families living there who wanted to be in the Reynoldsburg School District that they were able to get the issue put on the ballot. It was put to the voters of both districts that November. Even though Deerfield Estates abutted the Reynoldsburg School District along its southern border, the city of Reynoldsburg itself was mostly well within the borders of Truro Township, with the exception of a few annexations from Etna Township, as we'll see in the border check at the end of this chapter. That shouldn't have mattered as far as the city was concerned, but the issue was a welcome excuse for Mayor Twyford and Council President Doherty to advance the master plan. All that business in Fairfield County was merely priority 1 in the plan. But if you take another look at the master plan, you'll see that priority 2 was, as Mayor Twyford told the Columbus Dispatch in 1968, to annex everything between the Reynoldsburg-New Albany Road and the Licking County line south of Broad Street. So naturally, they recommended moving to annex Deerfield Estates into the city if the school district transfer succeeded, and if that meant annexing the intervening land, well, so much the better. Well, the ballot initiative failed, so Deerfield Estates remained part of the Licking Heights School District, and there was no more talk about annexing Deerfield Estates to the city, at least for a while. But half a mile to the west, the Reynoldsburg School District did regain some territory it had lost in the Western Electric Affair of 1957. You may recall that the neighborhood of Reynoldsburg Village was added to the Reynoldsburg School District in 1957 or 1932, and a 25-acre trapezoid of it was transferred to the Columbus School District in 1957. In 1970, that 25-acre trapezoid was transferred from the Columbus City School District back into Reynoldsburg City School District, rejoining the sloppy map of Utah parcel. Boundary check, 1973. Even though the city of Reynoldsburg didn't get to annex Deerfield Estates, it did grow quite a bit during this time, as shown in the map below. In addition to the acres of Blacklick Woods Metro Park and the southern strip bounded by Bryce Road and Interstate 70, the city also annexed about 5.7 acres on Rose Hill, north of Bryce Road. Quarry Cliff Court, off of Wagoner Road, 19 acres in 1970. The Timber Creek neighborhood, between Rodebaugh Road and East Broad Street along Blacklick Creek, 67 acres, 1971. A 3.3-acre parcel on Palmer Road, owned by future Reynoldsburg Board of Education member James Wilcoxon, 1971. The rest of the east side of Rose Hill Road, 19 acres, 1972. The Kingsley Drive neighborhood in Licking County, 140 acres, 1972. The Firethorn and Old Church Way neighborhoods at the far northwest corner of the city, 50 acres, 1972 and 1973. About 64 acres along the north side of East Main Street, running between Bryce Road and Rose Hill Road, 1973. The Cobblestone Run neighborhood in Licking County, 49 acres, 1973. 219.4 acres at the southeast corner of Franklin County, where it meets Licking and Fairfield counties, 1973. Even now, though, the entirety of the city of Reynoldsburg lay within the bounds of the Reynoldsburg City School District. But that was about to change. For almost 20 years, the city of Columbus had been accreting a collection of areas that stayed in other school districts rather than joining Columbus City Schools, the so-called common areas. We've talked about a few of those common areas that stayed in the Reynoldsburg School District, but there are others as well. And soon, the city of Reynoldsburg would get a common area of its own, a piece of the city that was part of some other school district. That's next in How the Reynoldsburg School District Got Its Shape, Part 8. Thanks for watching.